Test, test, test. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good?
Sorry, I think this room shrank. Either that or my memory is really bad.
It is an outrage.
I'm so sorry.
To hold a meeting in this room.
Wait, I hear you.
It's outrageous.
It is outrageous, and I'm so sorry. So we will make sure that we get everybody in and out quickly and safely with no do harm. And again, I'm very sorry. It was hard to find space. Everything's going on. But no, you're right. We have too many people and not enough room. So what we're going to do, excuse me, and what we're going to do is have a representative number of parents come up to the podium and speak so that they may in turn, they will all go first so that they may in turn take their kids home, okay? And then we will proceed with the cards. And as the seats are vacated, people can come in. Could we have, my name is Judy Myers, Westchester County Legislator. I am the chairwoman of Budget and Appropriations. With me tonight, thank you, Ellen. With me tonight are legislators Mary Jane Shimsky, Legislator Lyndon Williams, and Legislator Michael Smith. We will be joined by our chairman, Ken Jenkins. He is currently at the Israel demonstration in downtown White Plains, but he will come here after he says his remarks there. And Majority Leader Peter Harcum is also with him, and he will be here after he's in White Plains. And then I'm sure we will be joined by some other legislators as the evening progresses. We each have, and Legislator Virginia Perez is making her way in. We will give each speaker 3 minutes to speak. This is timed. We will ask speakers to stop after 3 minutes in the interest of getting everybody's voices heard. If anybody has anything to give us in writing, we're happy to take it. We will make copies so that all the other legislators can see everything that is handed to us. And we will begin with Viviana from Portchester. Sally, your timing?
No, that's where she goes.
We got to back up.
Viviana to the podium, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Viviana. I'm on behalf of Parents of Child Care. We want to ask you not to raise the parents' fee. Most of us will not be able to afford it. We are working parents that need a safe place for our children to be while we are working. Quality child matters.
Thank you, Viviana. Do we have Beryl? Beryl?
Gilling.
Okay. Is Serena close to the podium?
Clark. Yeah, Shireen.
Shireen?
Come on, Shireen.
And Aubergine? Abishai?
You're right here.
Right here.
Embarrassing. Just say your name and,
Yes.
and where you come from.
Name is Abishai. Been moving peace and love, everyone. From Mount Vernon Daycare. Been a parent, and my children attended Mount Vernon Daycare. And now we need
Well, you can take.
to make sure that the rest of the parents and children have an opportunity that I had for successful children. My children all are graduates of college, got master degrees, and so you got to make sure that this happens for the rest of our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Beryl up? Wonderful.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
My name
evening.
is Beryl Gilling, and I represent the Mount Vernon.
Into the mic.
Daycare. Sorry. My name is Beryl Gilling, and I represent the Mount Vernon Daycare, run by a phenomenal person, Miss Linda. Okay. It has been extremely heartbreaking and sad to hear the stories from parents who received notification of a further increase in parents' fees effective November 1 and the denial of all new applications for child care subsidy program for low-income families. Most of these parents, including my daughter, are single parents with 2 or more children trying to survive off their low income and in the meantime provide the best care for their children. These parents would love to fulfill their dreams, to be able to attend colleges, be more productive to their communities, and be independent citizens, not dependent on welfare for the rest of their lives. These parents not only have a dream, but are trying to aim for the moon, so if they should fall, they will fall among the stars. Without daycare services, these children will be in jeopardy. And without an education, there won't be a future for our children. So instead of building more prisons to put our kids in, let's have a heart and do something positive for them. I humbly ask that Westchester County Executive Robert Astorina extend child care subsidies to these agencies so these children, including my grandchildren, will have a sense of direction, become more productive in society, and be able to fulfill their dreams. I just want to share this little picture of my granddaughter. She's 9 years of age. She recently drew this picture of Dora. Dora, my granddaughter did it. She attended Mount Vernon Daycare, and I just want you to know each child has a potential if given the opportunity. Thank you.
Sharina?
Good evening. My name is Shereen Long. I'm a parent from Mount Vernon Daycare Center. In August, I was ordered to pay my copay, and it did not start at 20%. It automatically started at 35%. I called the supervisor, and I spoke with her, and she told me basically I had to cut down on having a used car vehicle. Now, I'm a victim of domestic violence. I need my car to flee for me and my 3-year-old daughter. God forbid if her father shows up in my house because he is a bill collector. But I shouldn't have to explain those personal things as to why I have a car. It's not a luxury. It's 13 years old. So after I proved to her that I could not pay it, it went down to 20%, but I'm still struggling by the skin of my teeth. I have to make a choice between paying my student loans, which I cannot pay a forbearance on anymore. I cannot request any more deferments. My student loans is the same amount as what my copay is for my daughter's daycare at a month. So because I was in school at 3 years old, I want my daughter to have the same privilege to be in pre-K at the same opportunity. So instead of me paying my student loans, I'm paying my daughter's daycare fee to be in school, such as I was. And now because of it's so hard or whatever the case may be, I had to leave my job, and I found a new job, but I cannot get a hold of my caseworker to tell her that, I have a decrease in my pay that I was making. And then although a restraining order was put against the 35% to take effect, at the bottom of the letter that I received, it says, do not call your caseworker. I've been calling my caseworker for 2 months before this restraining order was put against the county executive. And now, since I'm getting a decrease in my pay, she will not return my telephone calls. She will not clean out her voicemail so we can leave more messages. And now I'm still having a problem. The point of the matter is we need childcare to stay at 20% because our children need to be in licensed daycares, not in someone's home when they're not being unsupervised and sitting in front of a TV all day. It's completely unfair to our children, and they are our future. That's where the money needs to go to. Thank you.
Thank you. And is Nellie? Nellie?
Yes.
Hi.
Good evening.
Introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. I'm Nellie Martinez. I'm a parent of the Portchester Daycare. And I just want to share something with you guys that I'm happy that my 3-year-old, because I have 3 girls, my first 2 girls didn't attend daycare because I really didn't know what daycare was. I thought it was just leaving them there and I pay, whatever. But no, this daycare is special because not only does my daughter, I feel safe and I go to work, she's learning. It's not just a daycare, it's a learning daycare. And my daughter's 3, and she started in September, and she's actually counting to 23. And that's outrageous for me. I'm shocked. But the reason I'm here also is because I want to share the staff in Portchester. They're great, and like I said, it's not just a daycare. It's learning. I feel it's a school. And also, I just feel like other parents have said that the money should be going towards our kids because, they're the future. And I'm a high school, college graduate. My parents worked hard to take me to school. And I feel the same way. I want to give my kids the same opportunity that I was given by my parents working hard. And I just feel like everybody else that this money should be going towards our kids, our future. And I just want to share the staff in Portchester. They're great. And also, I wanted to say something about, the social workers because I'm a parent. I work. My husband works. And I've called her. I've left messages. She keeps sending me letters by phone that, if I'm accepted or not. So I don't know how to contact her. She does not call me back. It's been 2 weeks. I showed up on my time of lunch, and she does not call me back. And I need the daycare for my daughter because it's not only, like I said, money-wise, it's an example, and she's the future of America.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is that it, you think? Ellen, did you want to say something?
2 words, 3 words. I just wanted to say that these parents are here because they have a tremendous fear that they're going to lose a safe place for their children. Now, we're not going to have them all talk because I'm worried about the children's safety. It's so close in here. But I think everybody should say, by saying very loudly, that you really need your child care and you need it to be affordable so that you can keep your jobs. I mean, that's the key that this thing is about. You need to work. So, thank you. Thank you for listening to these parents. They are a wonderful group. They work hard all day, and they came out because they really care about their children, and they care about their country, so please help them. Right? Okay, guys. Go back to the cars and take these babies home. Unless anybody else has something.
At this point, we will let the kids go home, go to bed.
Okay.
Because that's also very important for early learning. And for your parents. Thank you so much. And we will now proceed, and as space empties, people can come in from outside. We will now start working from the cards. Is Susan Furlato here? Furlato. Susan Furlato from the Pace Women's Justice Center.
ELLEN, right?
All right, I'm going to keep calling just so you know where you are in line. Susan Furlato will go first. Harold Fine. Harold Fine from the Pace Women's Justice Center. Karen Pecora from CSEA Unit 9200. Frank Palumbo from Maintenance. And Lucas Herbert from the Westchester County Planning Department. Please come to the podium. Sally, do we have water? Water? No.
No, it should turn this nothing.
While people are rearranging themselves, I would like to welcome Legislator Jim Maizano to the dais as well.
Are you kidding me? It's my pleasure. And I'm going to keep you guys updated.
You did a good job.
Not often we get claps.
Well, thanks. How are you? Oh my God, it was amazing.
Actually, no, probably you all get them right now.
This afternoon.
They want us to do something.
Okay, can everybody move quickly, please?
It's small. I'm trying to turn
know
this
that.
a little to get through. Thank you.
Sure.
How are you, kid? What are you up to?
I had to guess. That would be my guess.
What is?
Hi.
Nice to see you. Okay. Would Susan, do you want to start?
Okay.
Okay, everybody, we're continuing.
Good
I don't have a
evening.
gavel.
We're from Pace.
Okay, can we have quiet so people can be heard, please? Okay, we need to record this as well. Tapes are running. You're on camera. Go.
Good evening, everyone. We're from Pace Women's Justice Center.
Really close in.
Standing with me is my colleague, Roberta Goodman. I'm Susan Ferlato. We're both elder abuse attorneys at Pace Women's Justice Center. And Harold Fine is a member of our executive board and a volunteer paralegal at our center. We at Pace Women's Justice Center are a proud member of the Westchester Women's Agenda. We're here tonight to ask you to restore funding for two of our programs in the 2013 budget. Our Elder Abuse Legal Services Program has served more than 1,000 victims of elder abuse since the inception of our program in 2005. It's no secret that the older population across our country and here in Westchester County is increasing. And along with the increasing the numbers of older individuals in our community, elder abuse is increasing dramatically. Our program is the only civil legal services program in Westchester County focused exclusively on providing services to victims of elder abuse. Without our program, our clients would not be able to access the legal system. The cost of retaining private attorney is prohibitive for our low-income clients. That program costs the county $97,000. The second program we're here to ask for funding, that the funding be restored for, is our Elder Law Community Education Program. In that program, attorneys go into the community and educate hundreds of caregivers and senior citizens on ways to make themselves safe. We help to educate them as to their rights as seniors. And that program costs the county $20,000. We thank you for your past support of our programs, and we ask you to restore funding for these two programs so that we can continue our work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please say your name.
My name is Harold Fine, and I'm an executive member of the board of the Pace Women's Justice Center, and I'm also a paralegal volunteer. And I'd like to thank the board for their continued support of the Pace Women's Justice Center. But once again, we're in the budget cycle season, and once again, I didn't win the lottery, so I can't pay the $113,000. So once again, we're here with our hat in our hand. And I have to tell you that $113,000 in a budget that is close to $2 million is a rounding error. And it is very important that we do not overlook the seniors in our community. They need our support. They need our support every day. These two women that were just up here are pretty big-time attorneys, and they choose to work at the center for small dollars when they could go into private practice and make big dollars because they believe in the mission. Everybody at the center believes in the mission, and the mission is to make sure that our seniors are not overlooked. I'd just like to read something. I want to make sure I get it right. Our society must make it right and possible for old people not to feel the young or be deserted by them. The test of a civilization is how it treats its senior citizens. And that was Gandhi who said that. So I'd like you to all keep that into account and remember that the seniors are a very viable part of our community, and we need to treat them with that kind of respect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Karen Pecora.
My name's Karen Pecora, and I am the president of CSEA Unit 9200, which is the union that represents the dedicated and professional employees of Westchester County. Thank you for letting us speak this evening. In the county executive's proposed budget, Mr. Astorino stated in his presentation that the refusal of CSEA to contribute to their health benefits resulted in 126 layoffs. This is an out-and-out lie, and we're tired of him lying about that. We met with the county again today to try and come to an agreement, and this was our 20th meeting, and not once have we refused to contribute. Not once. Not once have we refused to meet with the county. Whenever they asked us to meet, we have met with them. We do not accept the proposal that they brought to the table, which was unrealistic and would just devastate the county employees. We've met with the county on every opportunity that they've asked us to meet and have never refused to contribute. We did not accept the proposal the county offered, and with other concessions, which would result in significantly proportional unfair pay cuts for our members with no guarantee of job protection. We made several counter proposals on our own, including negotiations, which were including contributions which were blatantly refused. We're asking for an agreement with equitable health care contributions in exchange for contractual language to protect our jobs. The employees in the departments of emergency services, probation, parks, social services, corrections, and labs, just to name a few, worked diligently during and after Hurricane Sandy to ensure that the county was safe and accessible for all of the taxpayers, including me. With 2 huge trees blocking my car and live wires, I rented a car to make sure that I got to work on Monday and Tuesday. What was the thanks that we got from the county executive? Guess what? We're going to be laid off, including me. This is how the county executive negotiates, by threatening us. Take the proposal that they brought to the table, or there's going to be layoffs. Accept what the county is offering us, or there is going to be layoffs. Why else would the county executive propose something to us that's higher than the other unions, which make more money than we do, have already agreed to? It's a political agenda for him. I have just 3 questions for you. What difference does it make where the savings come from? Especially if we have ideas that can save the county money. If the county executive had been successful last year, and the Board of Legislators did not restore our positions, 50 people would be out of work this year, and tonight we would still be cleaning up from Hurricane Sandy. And if the positions are not restored, who's going to do the work? In the last 2 years, the county workforce has been downsized 800 people, but the work has not been downsized. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. While we're waiting for Frank Palumbo, could Lucas Herbert, Lisa Vasilikos, Susan Darling, and Grace Beltran come to the podium?
Honorable Board, my name is Frank Palumbo. I work for the Department of Emergency Services at 4 Dana Road in Valhalla. I've been a dedicated employee for Westchester County for 28 years. The service I provide in my department for DES is invariable. My primary job function for DES is senior maintenance mechanic, to provide daily care and maintenance of the Fire Training Center, Support Services Building. My work includes, but not limited to, ensuring that the emergency vehicles are in working order at every given moment, maintaining generators, sandbaggers, light towers, pumps, all the emergency response vehicles. Additionally, I provide ground maintenance for snow removal, interior and exterior repairs. Also, I repair the fire training building, fire extinguisher training, inspections, support on the classrooms, contractor management, and maintaining inventory of building supplies. The Fire Training Center is occupied by 911 dispatch, which is a 24-hour operation, and the service support that I provide. The building, the Support Services Building and equipment are stored in the Fire Training Center and also in the Support Services Building. We have about approximately 27,000 students come through our doors for training. My role is to ensure each morning every emergency response vehicle, equipment, or operational function properly should an emergency occur. When training is in session, which is all year long, I ensure the classrooms are prepared, which I perform ongoing cleaning. Some sessions run 18 hours. For the fire training, I prepare for special equipment for the fire extinguisher training, car fires, and the resident burn building. What I failed to mention here is some of my job duties and functions, but what is not described here is the emergency support I provide along with my colleagues on 9/11, the recent storm of Hurricane Sandy, the long winter of 2011, Hurricane Irene, and Hurricane Floyd. These are unexpected events. I provided 24-hour support and dedication by delivering emergency supplies to municipalities, including cots, generators, bedding, food, sandbags. We're not delivering the supplies or ensuring that the training center was operational and accessible, maintaining cleanliness, eliminating my job position or any position at the Department of Emergency Service puts a major strain on the department. Emergency services which we provide throughout the county. During a significant emergency event, local municipalities will suffer. They will not benefit from the services that we provide. Let's be realistic. More and more events have occurred, and we fear more and more will take place in the future. Therefore, I urge you to rethink your position and do what's right for the people of Westchester and the Department of Emergency Services. Local municipalities will suffer, and the response time will be less and less. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lucas Herbert.
Hi, I'm Lucas Herbert. I'm from the Planning Department. I'm here with some of my coworkers who decided to come as well. Basically, when I was hired in 2001, I was the youngest person in the Planning Department. And now it's my fear that, 5 years from now, I will again be the youngest person in the Planning Department. Between the retirements, the layoffs, attrition, our department has shrunk by a scale never imagined. And now there is literally nothing left to cut, and we were beginning to slide into what I would call like a major brain drain, which is a big problem for a department that relies on our thinking and on our ideas. Part of the problem is that we've been unable to hire anybody right out of school, bringing fresh and innovative ideas from the schools that they attend. But then on top of that, the youngest employees in our department either get hit by the layoffs or they leave for other jobs because they're afraid of getting laid off. And some of these people have often taken jobs elsewhere for lower pay because they believe they have a future at that other place that pays them less. And if they stay here, they're just going to lose their job and be out of a job. And when that happens, these positions don't get filled and our department is shrinking. And again, I could be the youngest person in a couple of years. Now we're getting into a situation where certain programs are left with only management staff to deal with them. And in this case, it's Lisa, who's going to speak next, is a prime example of that. Lisa deals with flooding and stormwater management. If she leaves, only management staff is left to deal with this particular issue. There's no, workhorses, I guess is the word to say, left to do this. It's just the management. And, pointing out the fact that this is, she's deals with flooding. I mean, we just had a flood. So getting rid of the flooding expert and having only the management deal with that task is crazy. We're still recovering from this. The bottom line is that it's not sustainable from a government operations perspective to keep relying on layoffs year after year after year to balance a budget, especially when you go after people who don't even make that much in the first place. I mean, I live in a small apartment. She lives in a small apartment. She lives in a small apartment. I don't have a car. She doesn't have a car. It's not like we're living large here. I mean, my hopes and dreams for a secure financial future rest with my wife. She's got the ability to make the big money. I got in the government because I wanted to serve the public, not because I wanted to get rich. And it drives me insane that we keep getting attacked for being overpaid, or we're soaking the taxpayers or whatever. That is not the case. I invite Rob Astorino to come look at where I live. It's nothing great. I live above a 99-cent store in Yonkers. I mean, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Vasilakos. I'm one of the 2 environmental planner positions slated for elimination in the planning department. One of these positions was vacated in April of 2012, and the other one's filled by me. In the wake of Hurricane Sandy, the county's stormwater management law, approved by the Board of Legislators and signed into law by the county executive in 2011, has taken on additional emphasis and urgency. The law calls on the planning department staff, working in cooperation with the Department of Public Works and Transportation staff, to assess flooding and evaluate existing flood-related information for each of the county's 43 municipalities, and then develop recommendations to address flood-related risks and damage. This work will be presented in 5 watershed-based reconnaissance plans, one of which is nearing completion. I'll give you guys an excerpt of the Sawmill River, Pecantico River plan at the conclusion of the speech. As an environmental planner, I have worked on the development of this plan required under the 2011 Stormwater Management Law. Furthermore, the Board of Legislators is considering a 2013 county capital budget that includes millions of dollars in county-sponsored stormwater and flood-related projects. Staff is needed to oversee the implementation of these capital-funded projects. As an environmental planner, I work directly on the implementation of on-the-ground stormwater management and flooding projects. During my tenure at the county, I've worked on dozens of these projects. Most notably, we unveiled the Bronx River Restoration Project in September, right by the county center parking lot. That was a stream restoration project that involved both the Army Corps of Engineers and the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. I'm also involved in the implementation of the annual work program of the Westchester County Soil and Water Conservation District. A component of this work program includes education and outreach on stormwater management and flooding. The district and planning department hosts workshops on an annual basis on these topics that train over 100 people in the public and private sector. The district brings in annual revenue to the county to fund staff and programs. In closing, it is difficult to understand why the county's proposed 2013 operating budget would eliminate environmental planner positions in the planning department. If my position is eliminated, it will reduce the ability of the department to complete these environmental programs. Please strongly consider restoring this position to the 2013 county budget. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Susan Darling?
I'll give my time.
Okay, thank you. Susan is an associate environmental planner with the Westchester County Department of Planning. Grace Beltran? And just before Grace speaks, I would like to ask the following people to come up. It's a little out of order, but you are young, and you too need to go home, go to bed. Jonathan Potter, Olivia Iannati, Nina Young, Jack Iannati, and Jelani Dennis, please. Yes.
Good evening. Once again, County Executive Rob Astorino has proposed eliminating, completely wiping out all of the funding for community health centers. This funding, 40% of which comes from the state, supports mandated, mandated communicable disease prevention, screenings, treatments, and follow-ups for diseases including tuberculosis, sexually transmitted diseases, pneumonia, and influenza. It is extremely important that we understand that these diseases are much more common than we think. At Open Door and the other health centers in Westchester County, we proactively deal with these issues by being highly accessible and efficient in our care to patients by providing screenings, vaccines, immunizations, and follow-up care. Cuts to neighborhood health centers represent a threat to Westchester's public safety. They place all of Westchester's residents at risk. By funding community health centers, Westchester County ensures a broad health care delivery system that acts as a safety net to protect all of the people in Westchester. Time and past experience over 10 years ago has already shown that the clinics that are proposed by the county do not work. This clinic model simply is not accessible to patients. It's not efficient. It doesn't provide the same care that we as health centers can provide. Health centers deliver these services evenings, weekends. We have phone calls that we take during off hours, and we're available, and we address the needs of more than 200,000 uninsured residents in Westchester County. And this includes Mount Vernon, Peekskill, Yonkers, Ossining, Portchester, Greenburgh, Sleepy Hollow, Mount Kisco, from the north to the south ends of the county. And, we look to you guys to represent those populations and make sure that we're ensuring their safety. The county, again, the clinic model that the county proposes through their clinics is simply, it's fragmented, and it's not the same quality of the quality care that we can provide. It significantly reduces the standard of public health care and threatens the community with diseases that impact the health, the productivity, and the quality of life. If you take these services out of community health centers, Westchester residents are not going to seek out screenings and treatment through the clinics. They rely on the relationships that they have with our providers, we're all federally qualified health centers. This means that the standards of the care that we can provide are much better than clinics. Communicable diseases are a reality for the thousands of Westchester County residents that you represent. We have obviously seen that County Executive Rob Astorino really makes it a point to speak Spanish and to make aware and to make, really clear that he supports minorities. Yet when it comes to supporting the rights and the health and the safety of those minorities, he does not do so, and he falls short. And that's why we turn to you guys as legislators to make sure that we are providing these needed services, and it's in your hands now, not the county executive. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Susan Darling? Is Susan Susan left, sorry, my bad. Jonathan Potter, please.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Potter, and I'm here to present testimony on behalf of Student Advocacy, an educational advocacy organization that gets kids on track to school success. I know firsthand about student advocacy because I've served as a volunteer and have attended the agency's annual Overcoming the Odds Awards dinner. I've learned why other young people need student advocacy's help. Currently, I am in the 11th grade at Scarsdale High School, and I feel that my perspective can be helpful as you ask the question, why is it so important for the county to continue to support services for kids? Without good programs, whether in specific communities or countywide, kids would be at much greater risk of dropping out of school, using drugs, joining gangs, and getting into serious trouble. Kids in communities would suffer while the county would pick up the cost of their failure. Good youth programs create opportunities for young people by instilling positive values and enhancing academic, social, moral, and emotional competencies. Good programs create leaders who can be strong advocates for themselves and their communities. That is why we are very happy to see that much of the Invest in Kids funding has been incorporated into the county's executive's proposed budget. The Board of Legislators has championed this funding stream since the mid-1990s, so we assume that you will continue to do so. We do urge you to increase the fund for seed money for new community-based youth programs under the Youth Bureau from the proposed $200,000 to $400,000 and develop a clear and fair process for awarding these new grants. Our agency has supported the Early Step Forward initiative since it was proposed that the Department of Community Mental Health oversee mental health services to young children in settings like daycare and Head Start. We are thrilled that for the first time, the full budget for this invaluable effort is in the DCMH budget, and we hope you will approve this change from past budget practices. Finally, Student Advocacy recommends that you support childcare by keeping the parent share fee at 20%. Raising it to 35% will be an enormous burden for most families who receive subsidies. And we urge you to support healthy children and youth by restoring around $3 million in funding that was totally eliminated for the neighborhood health centers in the proposed budget. Let's invest in Westchester County's future by investing in its children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Olivia Iannotti.
Good evening. My name is Olivia Iannotti, and I, along with my brother, am a youth advocate for the Westchester County Youth Councils program. I live in New Rochelle, and I am 16 years old and an 11th grader at the Ursuline School. I am here tonight to speak about something very important to me. Youth programs are important because the Westchester County Senior Youth Council has taught me how to use my voice and to stand up for what I believe in. I joined the Youth Council when I was in 8th grade. During that year, I was cyberbullied. It was very hard for me to be confident after that, and I was more reluctant to be myself. The Youth Council helped me to make the best out of a bad situation. Every year, we hold a Youth Action Convention where we invite youth from different schools and youth groups to participate in various workshops related to issues that concern them. I ran the anti-bullying workshop. Talking to other youth about an issue important to me and telling my story made me feel empowered. I felt like I had impacted the youth I spoke to, and it made me realize that youth can make a difference if we truly wanted to. I hope that funding for the Westchester County Youth Council and youth programs like ours increases. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say.
Thank you. Jack Iannotti.
Good evening. My name is Jack Iannotti, and I'm a youth advocate from the Westchester County Youth Councils program. I live in New Rochelle, and I am 14 years old and a 9th grader at Iona Preparatory School. I'm here tonight to speak to you about something that is very important to me: youth programs in Westchester. Youth programs are important to me because it teaches kids my age how to be leaders in our communities. As a group, we have developed many skills such as public speaking skills, communication skills, and social skills. These are all good qualities of a youth leader. Furthermore, with the addition of these skills, I have learned what it is to be a youth leader in my community. In the few months that I have been a member with the Westchester Youth Council, I have made so many friends and learned so much about what it means to be a leader in my community. Lastly, the Youth Council helps teens throughout Westchester establish a future. And so I ask you to continue funding youth programs in Westchester for the future. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Jack. Nina Young.
Good evening, everybody. Hello, I'm Nina Jung. I'm a junior in Ardsley High School, and I'm a youth advocate for the Westchester County Youth Council. And I'm speaking for increased funding for the Invest in Kids program, like the Westchester County Youth Council, or WCYC. One of the best investments we can make in our future is one of the smartest investments in our future is the one in our youth. Youth programs like the Westchester County Youth Council creates innumerable opportunities for the teenagers in Westchester to not only learn how to make a change, but also make a difference. The Youth Council organizes a variety of workshops, trips, and conferences for their members to participate in to learn how to become inspirational and model leaders for the youth of Westchester. Youth Council has formed Go Green and nonviolent workshops, visited the Genocide Museum in New York City, gone to soup kitchens, raised money for breast cancer, volunteered at clothing shelters, visited nature conservatories, attended Planned Parenthood workshops, and so on. However, the point is that with this abundant knowledge and experience Youth Council members are exposed to through WCYC, they're able to apply it to their community and fellow teens. For example, the Youth Action Convention is the Youth Council's main event where the members meet fellow teens to advocate about issues affecting Westchester teens. We tackle topics like leadership skills, bullying, emotional health, media and body image, and isms. This is what it's all about, learning and then teaching. And it's amazing that teens have this opportunity to have this experience. The Westchester County Youth Council has helped me realize all the opportunities I have to voice my opinion and has made me even more eager to do so. Even today, I would never have stood up in front of a crowd like this to advocate. I wouldn't have even known about this event. But with the guidance of Youth Council, I'm here today talking to you about youth programs, something very close to my heart. Last January, our funding for Westchester County Youth Council was cut, and devastation surrounded the members and faculty of WCYC. Did we just sulk and retreat in silence? No. We were indignant. We wrote letters, we advocated, and then we made change, and the funding restarted. Thank you for restoring the budget, and I hope we can continue the support. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Nina. Jelani Dennis. And while Jelani is coming up, could I please have, we'll go back to the regular order, Alette Hirschon, Kim Jacobs, Lindsay Farrell, Lisa DiCarlucci, and Elio Giuliani. Jelani.
Good evening. My name is Jelani. I'm also a youth advocate from Westchester County Youth Council's program. I live in Greenburgh, but I often travel to White Plains. I'm 16 years old, and I'm an 11th grader at Rye Country Day School. I'm here tonight to speak about an essential part of our community, youth programs. Westchester Senior Youth Councils is one example of youth programs that is available in Westchester for teenagers to take advantage of. In Westchester, it is one essential program, without a doubt, because it enables young people to come together from different and diverse backgrounds and work towards various goals. By involving the group with county representatives and working people, we are given the opportunity to network with the social thinkers and doers that form the basis of everyday living. Networking is just the tip of the iceberg, however. I cannot help but feel grateful for the enlightenment and change and awareness that I experienced upon first joining the youth councils. Even in the first few meetings, I was exposed to issues involving our community, like environmental change, civil rights, racism and prejudice, and even economic ordeals, and much more. The range of issues involving our community were almost completely alien to me before joining youth councils. Not only are we exposed, however, but we are also taught to exercise advocacy in action. From attending youth action conventions to undoing racism training to breast cancer walks, we are taught to tackle the issues we encounter head-on and make a real difference. Overall, Youth Councils has been a beneficial program to countless youths throughout the county, and I really appreciate it. In light of this information, I feel it is necessary to increase funds allotted to Westchester youth programs in order to maintain, in return, a priceless youth development process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jelani. Before we go with Alette Hirschon, I would like to ask people, if they have spoken, if they could give up their seats and their space so that we can bring other people in. We are a little worried about our capacity here and fire codes. So if you've had a chance to make your voice heard, if you wouldn't mind making room for other people to come in. Thank you. Alette.
Good evening. My name is Alette Hirschon. I'm a resident of Westchester County, and I'm the clinical director at the Open Door Family Medical Centers, a neighborhood health clinic. We're asking you to restore the $2.6 million that you're threatening to take away from community health centers. I'm going to talk to you as a nurse. I'm a nurse at the Open Door Family Medical Center in charge of our infection control department, which means I'm in charge of communicable diseases. Most recently, in the last 6 months, we had a number of cases with multi-resistant tuberculosis. The county didn't deal with it. We dealt with it at the Open Door. I had to coordinate the care, make sure that the patients were being treated, and do the testing on hundreds and hundreds of patients that might have been exposed to the individuals who had this very, very serious illness. At the Open Door, we proactively screen our patients for TB, for latent TB. The county does not pay for treatment for latent TB. The Open Door pays for it. Without these funds, there might be hundreds and hundreds or maybe thousands of people in Westchester County which neighborhood health clinics are paying for the treatment of latent TB, including the x-rays. I also deal with sexually transmitted diseases. Now, sexually transmitted diseases could affect anybody. People don't wear a sign that says, I have a sexually transmitted disease. Community health centers proactively screen patients when they come in for their comprehensive medical care because we are patient-centered medical homes, something that the county is not. So we proactively are screening patients when they're coming in for their care for all these communicable diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, latent TB, tuberculosis, and many, many others. Again, at our medical home, our Open Door Family Medical Center's patient medical home, we are taking care of patients. We give them access to come in for comprehensive care, something the county does not do. So we are asking you, please, to rethink this very serious move that you're about to make and restore our funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Jacobs.
Good evening. My name is Kim Jacobs, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Capital Resources and co-chair of this year's Westchester Women's Agenda. I'm here tonight for two purposes: to urge your support of the Westchester Women's Agenda policy document, and secondly, to advocate on behalf of my own agency, Community Capital. Let me begin by thanking you for your past support. It has made it possible for Community Capital to make the loans that banks cannot or will not make to revitalize our communities. Community Capital provides responsible and affordable small business, child care, energy efficiency, and housing loans to foster opportunity, change lives, and create impact. We need your support to give community businesses the chance they can get only from us. Community Capital provides pre-development loans in the fragile early stages of housing development. We provide financing when housing needs don't fit into a neat cookie-cutter mold. Our portfolio of over 125 loans creating over 2,100 homes is a clear demonstration that this essential funding is key to those developers who are meeting the housing needs of our residents. And Community Capital provides loans to the startup and emerging entrepreneurs who make our towns and villages lively and unique. We take a chance on businesses like the Peekskill Coffee House, Mancino Tailors, Liebman's Uniforms, Chappaqua Wine and Spirits, and a host of other companies that revitalize our main streets, provide jobs, and pay taxes in our communities, but are not yet bankable. In fact, the loans that CCR has made have supported development and entrepreneurs who pay over $10 million in taxes annually in our communities. And on average, each loan that we make creates or sustains 5 jobs in our communities. It may seem counterintuitive that a loan fund needs county support. However, the nature of our loans is that while the loans are sound, they are not actually profitable due to their small size, our hands-on approach to ensure success, and the risk inherent in lending to startups and solopreneurs. If these loans were profitable, banks would make them. That's why we need your help. We need your support to provide quality jobs in our communities. We need your support to revitalize our main streets. We need your support to build good homes for our workforce, and we need your support to assist those small businesses that are reeling in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. The businesses we support are part of your everyday experiences. They are the local deli that provides the quick dinner solution, the salon that cuts your hair, the dry cleaner where you drop off the week's clothes, and the contractor building senior housing for our aging parents. Your support will help us keep these local businesses open and help us to open new doors in your community. Please help us by restoring funding to Community Capital in the 2013 budget so that we can continue to work to create the homes and businesses, the jobs and tax revenues that benefit all who live and work in our communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kim. Lindsay Farrell.
Honorable members of the Board of Legislature, I'm here on behalf of the Open Door and the Westchester Women's Agenda. Just like last year, neighborhood health centers are out of Rob Astorino's budget. We can't believe it because much of the funding comes from New York State to provide mandated services to prevent, screen, and treat communicable diseases, including, as Alette said, tuberculosis, chlamydia, syphilis, which are prevalent in our community and pose a health risk in our communities. We can't believe that golf made it into Astorino's budget, but prevention of sexually transmitted diseases and TB didn't. We think the health commissioner may want to provide these services in makeshift clinics. This might meet minimal state standards, but it certainly won't be at the level needed and currently provided by neighborhood health centers, which, oh, by the way, operate in Yonkers, Mount Vernon, Portchester, Greenburgh, Ossining, Sleepy Hollow, Mount Kisco, and serve close to 200,000 of Westchester's residents. We think the voters of Westchester won't stand for that minimal approach, and they will vote for legislators when the time comes who value public health over fiscal rhetoric. These services are especially important for low-income people, and we think it's interesting that the county executive budget impacts them so significantly. Child care support is eliminated, just like neighborhood health center services. For a county executive who likes to speak Spanish and make friends to get votes, what is he thinking? That we don't get it? Well, we do. And come election day, we will make our feelings heard. You legislators have the power to make this right. We ask you to restore the funds, and when the time comes, we ask you to override the county executive's veto. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Lisa DiCarlucci.
I'm ceding my time to Mike.
Lisa is ceding her time to Elio? Michael.
Yes. Good evening. I'm Michael Boriskin. I'm the Artistic and Executive Director of Copeland House. First of all, I want to thank you all for holding this public hearing. I also especially want to thank the board for its longstanding and steadfast support of Westchester's nonprofit arts and cultural sector. You've heard a number of really compelling stories tonight about health and child's issues. I want to talk a little bit about the economy. We have here in Westchester an exceptionally robust cultural sector that is the envy of Nassau, Suffolk, Bergen, and other neighboring counties. It's really one of the things, frankly, that defines Westchester and is a big part of what makes Westchester a desirable place to live, work, and play. But all of this didn't happen just by accident. Successive administrations and Board of Legislators, working closely with Arts Westchester, have been invested in its development and in making this happen, and that's an investment that truly returns major dividends to the county. So the message I want to convey tonight is simple. Westchester's nonprofit cultural sector is a really potent force in the economic life of the county. First, I want to quickly correct a misconception that you may have based on the way the proposed budget was presented. The county executive's proposed budget represents more than a 50% cut. It does not include the funds that you and your colleagues, the board, added and approved in the 2012 budget, with a total of $1.5 million allocated to Arts Westchester. I know that you've seen the most recent report on the economic impact of the arts, which was produced by one of the nation's leading cultural think tanks, Americans for the Arts, and that study tells a remarkable story. In 2010, the nonprofit arts sector in Westchester generated over $156 million in economic activity in the county and supported 4,800 full-time equivalent jobs. I want to repeat that, 4,800 full-time equivalent jobs in Westchester. These are not just creative folks, artists, musicians, writers, painters, curators. As important as that is, arts organizations like Copeland House also hire bookkeepers, tradespeople, secretaries, facilities managers, marketers, and salespeople, and many others across a wide range of industries. When an arts organization mounts a public event, for example, it's very likely to do what we at Copeland House do. We engage a local printer, we work with a mailing house, we hire a car service, we hire a caterer, we purchase supplies from the neighborhood hardware store and take ads in the local papers and magazines. These are local jobs done by Westchesterites. Beyond that, arts events also bring people to Westchester who stay here, they go to restaurants, they shop, and so forth. So the arts, the nonprofit arts and culture sector in Westchester is not only part of the solution to the economic challenges that you all face, but it's also one of the best investments that you can make in the county.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Will Elio Giuliani come to the podium? And as he's coming forward, could we have Kimberly Gottson, Jim M., Senior Engineer with Department of Public Works, Josephine Lombardi, Lauren Schaller, and Kitara Bingham.
Hi, my name is Elio Giuliani. I'm here advocating for cooperation by all Board of Legislator members this year in creating a budget that saves valuable services, saves funding for these important agencies we've heard about tonight, and saves jobs in 2013. The November 6th election was testament that Americans want cooperation going forward, not arrogant dictums or ultimatums. We saw on TV that many hundreds of thousands of people voted by standing in long lines for many, many hours to make their voice heard. Those Americans got it, okay? They want logical cooperation by our elected officials. I'm here advocating that the Board of Legislators work cooperatively to find solutions to the budget that Mr. Astorino has presented. Please check the budget accurately. Check it 2 times and 3 times for any booby traps, for any columns that he might have put the wrong number in, for totals that don't add up. Check it accurately. Please cooperate, because there are many, many valuable services that the county budget funds. We've heard a lot of good speakers tonight about all the programs that the county funds. I, for one, was very impressed by those high schoolers who presented the advocacy for the Westchester County Youth Council. I wish I had that poise and that ability to speak when I was in high school, okay? I'm not going to keep you longer. I just want to say that as Westchester taxpayers and as Westchester County workers, the CSEA members in Westchester County understand that your Board of Legislators got the cooperative message last year and years past in creating a budget that eliminated a lot of needless layoffs and also funded a lot of these valuable agencies that we've heard tonight. County workers have the knowledge, the experience, and the valuable historical know-how to best provide needed services. After all, the county workers are the ones the politically appointed people have been asking questions of for 3 years now. You would think that after 3 years, a lot of these politically connected people that Mr. Astorino has brought in would start to understand how Westchester County actually operates. But no, they're not getting it because, quite honestly, some of them are not qualified. In closing, I again request that you please use your cooperative talents to create a 2013 budget that does not cut good programs, that does not cut good agencies, and that does not cut county workers who provide valuable services. Thank you.
Thank you, Elio. Kimberly Gottson.
Good evening, Ms. Myers, legislators. My name is Kimberly Gottson. I'm an 11-year employee with the Department of Social Services in Westchester County and the secretary for the CSEA union. So here we are again. The 3rd year of a campaign in a war on workers by the county executive and his administration. Our union, CSEA, is the first and usually the only county union to be hit by layoffs, since we're the largest. And the Department of Social Services is usually the first to be hit, since we have the most workers, just the way the numbers work. But CSEA has lost over 800 members over the last 2 years, a full 20% of our workforce, which is pretty significant. Several hundred of those layoffs, of course, were from social services, since we're the largest department. Now, DSS employees are already working through their lunch hours. They're working unpaid overtime to get their caseloads done. They're under threats from management to get their caseloads done, no matter what. So they do it. They don't get paid extra, and now they have higher caseloads. Circumstances such as the recession and these natural disasters that all of a sudden we have in Westchester, they've served to just increase the number of people who are in need of public assistance, of food stamps or SNAP, Medicaid, as well as adult and child protective services. Now, the Astorino administration wants to cut at least 45 more workers from social services. Our concern continues to be the safety and the well-being of our most at-risk residents in DSS, of course. I have one last point. It remains an untruth that all employees of Westchester make more than $100,000 a year. It's just not true. CSEA has 3,200 members. We're by far the largest union. If you look at the average salary of our lowest paid third, it's about $46,000. This number is significant because of this statistic. If you look at the 2012 federal poverty guidelines, a family of four making about $46,000 qualifies for public assistance, food stamps or SNAP, and Medicaid. Now that means that literally several hundred of our members would qualify for the same programs that they provide to the neediest of Westchester County. This is a statistic. Westchester cannot afford for one more employee to be subject to the unjustified layoffs. And we're asking you from CSEA and all of our 3,200 members to please stand with us to stop the war on workers in Westchester. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Jim M.
That's Jim Meehan, sorry.
What's your last name?
Meehan.
Meehan.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Legislators. My name is Jim Meehan. I'm an assistant engineer with the Department of Public Works and Transportation. With me tonight are my fellow engineers. Thank you, Phil. I spoke to you last year detailing some of what myself and my fellow engineers do for DPW. It's 1 year later, we're still asked to do the same thing. For previous 10 years prior to 2012, engineers averaged 67% capital work and 33% operational work. For 2012, and as requested for 2013, we're reducing the operating costs of our engineers down to 15%. That's about half of what we're doing now. There are at least 10 areas where engineers perform non-capital work. I can only name a few now, but I've listed them all on the sheet that I gave you. First of all, flag bridges. Normally, New York State Department of Transportation is responsible for inspecting approximately 190 county-owned bridges. During the time, they may flag a bridge, they deem it unsafe. The most notable one is the Ashford Avenue Bridge, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. Now, got to understand that the New York State DOT only inspects the damage to these bridges, which means the responsibility for designing and coming up with a solution lies with the Department of Public Works. Second, bridge impacts. Whenever a truck hits a bridge, we're out there inspecting for structural damage and see if there's any possible threat to motorists. This can happen nights, weekends, we go out. It's not an 8-to-4 scenario for us. Third, Hurricane Sandy. Well, any natural disaster, we're out there inspecting damage and estimating construction costs. For Sandy, it involved much damage at Playland, which Rob Astorino himself actually requested us to do. Number 4, EOC operations. Sandy and Indian Point drills require the activation of Emergency Operations Center, which is staffed by engineers for the DPW. 5, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, permitting for that. Westchester County owns in excess of 630 storm pipe outfalls. We are mandated by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to inspect 20% of these each year in sequence. That's we have to inspect 125 of these each year. Having a ready staff of engineers made it possible to respond to these and other critical situations. Now, these tasks were performed under operational costs, not capital work. How are we to complete these duties when our operating costs are being reduced by 50%, from 33% down to 15%, according to the 2013 operating budget? I understand the capital budget proposed for 2013 includes a $33 million increase from this year. It's a fact that our capital program could finance all the engineer salaries if we only performed capital work like our consultant counterparts. Unfortunately, we have to perform operational work to keep the county running. We understand you're committed to the residents of Westchester County as we are committed to the safety of Westchester County infrastructure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Josephine Lombardi.
Hi, my name is Josephine Lombardi. I'm here to ask for your support not to raise the fees for the parents using childcare. I have a company that I provide maintenance to childcare agencies, and the bulk of my business is providing the maintenance for these centers. So if you raise the fees, what's going to happen is some of the parents won't be able to afford it. They won't be able to send their kids to childcare. Therefore, the childcare agency either has to scale down their services or completely close altogether. Therefore, I have to lay off my employees, and it's like a wheel that keeps on going, and they won't have jobs, which most of my employees send their kids to these childcare centers. So I'm asking for your support to please reconsider not raising the fees. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. Lauren Schaller and Kitara Bingham, and as they're coming, could I please have Jaime Streeter and Jason Dennis come up to the podium, please?
Good evening. My name is Lauren Schaller, and I am the Director of Counseling Programs at My Sister's Place, a non-for-profit agency that serves all victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. Beside me is my colleague, Kitara Bingham, and she is the director of our 2 emergency shelter programs. We would like to start by thanking the Board of Legislators and Chairman Jenkins for your strong ongoing support of My Sister's Place over the years. We're here tonight to ask the Board of Legislators to reinstate funding and continued support of the case management contract. This contract supports the administrative, managerial, and supervisory support that we provide to our staff at My Sister's Place. We are proud to oversee a staff that is comprised of over 50 crisis counselors, advocates, and program managers. In our roles as directors, we use our social work backgrounds to provide one-on-one ongoing clinical supervision, support, and guidance to all of our hardworking staff. At My Sister's Place, we are ever mindful of the challenging and intense nature of domestic violence work. Unlike other types of job environments, our staff members are vulnerable to the effects of burnout and the distressing impact of hearing clients' traumatic stories day after day. In order to ensure that staff members are supported and delivering best quality services to our clients, there must be leadership in order to promote self-care and avoid burnout and traumatization amongst our staff.
MSP's reputation as a leader in Westchester County for providing a safety net for our most vulnerable families is made possible by its experienced and dedicated direct service staff. Those staff who are on the front lines serving the most needy folks. However, even the most seasoned counselors or advocates need the support of managers to be able to make difficult decisions that they're faced with on a daily basis. The work of our agency involves families in crisis making life or death decisions. At times, those decisions put great risk on people who are leaving abusive situations. Being available regularly to check in with our staff and to provide them with the support that they can then in turn provide to those victims and children of our services really is the most effective and safest way to ensure that we're supporting those in need. If we didn't have the opportunity to speak with staff every single day about specific clients' needs and develop safety plans, our clients' risk of re-experiencing trauma and abuse is greatly increased. So please continue to back sufficient funds to help supervision of management staff so that we're able to continue to do this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Jaime Streeter? Jaime or Jamie? Jamie, sorry.
It's okay. Good evening. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the nature centers and the curators, and I hope that they'll be able to keep their jobs. I'm from Harrison, and I homeschool my 2 daughters, and we attend nature classes at the Cranberry Lake Nature Preserve. And I'm not very good with facts and figures, but I thought I would share with you 2 things that my daughters wrote after attending their nature class. On a nature class, after a nature class on edible flowers, my daughter wrote a story. Today in nature we learned about weeds. Lainey looked closely at the plant. It's garlic mustard. Garlic mustard leaves are edible. They taste like garlic, Vicky. Ever since, Vicki and Lainey had gone camping and gotten lost with only 10 days' worth of food, they'd been looking for edible plants. It's a good thing you are a plant expert, Lainey. Hey, aren't dandelions edible? Yes, Vicki, the leaves, maybe the leaves and the flowers. What my daughter, 7-year-old daughter, wrote after a class on learning about rotting things and how life can live on that. When you see a rotting tree, don't step on it. Animals still live there. We don't want to hurt nature, so we care for it. These are examples of the benefit that the children are getting when they attend these nature classes. And it's not just the homeschool children that attend weekly classes at Cranberry Lake, but the programs that you offer on the weekends that are free to us families that can't afford to do a lot of things. We can't afford to go to the movies on the weekends and things like that, and the programs that the nature centers offer are not only free, but they're educational, they're fun, they inspire the kids to learn. My daughter would like to be an author when she grows up, and she'd like to write stories based on nature. This is what they do every week when they come home from nature classes, is draw these pictures and write these stories. I think it would be a real loss for the community. And I think that the curators specifically, we deal with Taro Aitaka at the Cranberry Lake Nature Preserve. And his love of his job shines through in his daily efforts to not only preserve the nature center, but his love of nature also inspires his young students through his amazing ability to teach and interest the children. If the curators lose their job, not only would the wildlife suffer in our community, but the children would be losing teachers that inspire them to be aware of and to care for the whole world around them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Jason Dennis. And while Jason is coming up to the podium, and there are seats in here for anybody who's out there, I see some empty seats. Lisa Alfano, Karen Cheeks Lomax, David Ladd, Daniel Villena, and Howland Robinson. Please come forward. Yes, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to hear me. I don't have any prepared notes, and I got recruited to speak tonight just out there. I brought my daughters and my wife here. They're also homeschooled, along with Jamie's daughters. And I've only been to Cranberry twice in my life. One time after Sandy to help chainsaw down and cut down some trees that were damaged. And one time for a party that was held overnight in front of a campfire. And I'd like to speak on behalf of Taro, who is our curator at Cranberry Lake. I had the opportunity to speak with him earlier and learned that for a net $10,000, this facility is being non-curated. And I learned that $70,000 is the gross outlay, and the park itself, through birthday parties and other events, brings in $50,000 to $60,000 a year. So for the need of $10,000, this park will be non-curated. Now, myself and my dog go to Saxon Woods once a weekend to run around and have a nice time. And it's lovely to be in an open space here in the city. I'm a White Plains resident. But when going to a curated park and having someone who knows about the mushrooms and the trees and everything else, it's a magical experience. And my girls especially come home and they write about it, they speak about it, and it's an opportunity for homeschool people to actually learn the reality of how to build a campfire, how to build a shelter, how to survive in the woods, how to walk down a path and not trip over a stone, what different trees and vegetation is all about. And if we lose that as a community, I think that would be a big loss. So I'd like to challenge this Board of Legislators, I believe, to take action to keep some of these curated parks open. And I'd like to even offer financial assistance specifically for Cranberry if you can make that happen. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jason. I should mention, I'm sorry, I took a while to mention that we've also been joined here by Legislator Alfreda Williams. Lisa Alfano.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Alfano, and I am the manager of the children's program at My Sister's Place, a non-for-profit agency in Westchester County that provides counseling, advocacy, emergency shelters, legal services to victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. One of the programs that I have the opportunity to oversee is the Tot Drop program, which provides therapeutic childcare to children whose parents come to our agency for their counseling sessions, legal appointments, and job training workshops. The Tot Drop allows caregivers to attend their services knowing that their children are safe in an enriching space. We have a skilled child care specialist who works with each child on their social skills, self-expression through age-appropriate art and play activities. Having the Tot Drop available to our clients is incredibly beneficial to those who do not have other safe and cost-effective options for child care. Through this vital program, we get to witness the wonderful outcomes and growth in so many children that attend. One particular child I'd like to tell you about, whose name has been changed, is a little 3-year-old girl named Sally. When Sally arrived at My Sister's Place with her mother, she was upset, cried often, and was unable to communicate her feelings and needs. She especially had difficulty separating from her mom. Over the next few weeks that Mom attended our weekly job training workshops, Sally came to Tot Drop. Our child care specialist worked closely with Sally to let her know she was in a safe place. She helped Sally express her feelings in a positive way. She helped Sally socialize with her peers and safe adults, and assisted Sally in feeling confident and happy. These are the amazing results this program produces with your support. In 2010, when My Sister's Place lost our Tot Drop funding, our clients were significantly impacted. Many of our ongoing clients had to stop coming for services, and many new clients were unable to begin counseling and advocacy at the agency without any available child care options. We were thrilled and grateful when the board allowed us to regain funding for this crucial program in 2011. Now we can continue to help numerous children like Sally. I would like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding the Tot Drop contract and the crucial services that are provided for our clients. Thank you, and continue to renew this vital program.
Thank you, Lisa. Karen Cheeks-Lomax.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. It is a very difficult challenge to hear all of the stories that people bring to you today, but on very, very important initiatives. And one of the things I want to say to the board is that I want to thank you for so many years of understanding the nuances of My Sister's Place and the work that we do and the challenges that we face. And you've heard about at least 2 programs this evening that really affect the lives of the women and the children who come to our agency. And the Tot Drop program, as you can see, provides women with support as they seek other services, and but for that support, they would not be able to do that. In addition, the case management program that you heard about is really significant because the work that we do is very, very challenging, because the clients that come to us are very challenged and have experienced very horrific things in their lives. We need to have professional staff that can work with them. And the human trafficking work that so many of you have been supportive of is also part of that. So I would ask that those 3 contracts, the Tot Drop contract, the human trafficking contract, and the case management contract be put back in. The board has always added those back in for an amount of $80,600. I'm asking that goes back in. In 2011, you know that the county executive asked many of the nonprofits to come together and provide services in a collaborative way. Well, My Sister's Place, as you know, provides legal services, and we collaborated with Empire Justice Center, who's here tonight, legal services for the Hudson Valley, and the Pace Women's Justice Center. And we collaborated and came together and took reductions so that we could provide services, civil legal services, to domestic violence victims. This year, we found out that we are being funded at FY12 rates, which is a significant cut of about $26,000 in that contract for civil legal services. It's not easy work. Lawyers can work anywhere and make tremendous salaries, but they do what they do at these agencies that I just talked about because it's important, it's critical work. So I'd ask that that difference between the FY12 dollars that we received last year and the FY13 contracts that we signed be put back into the county executive's budget. In addition, similarly, the non-residential domestic violence services agencies came together. We put all of our resources together. Victims Assistance Services, My Sister's Place, and Hope's Door came together, collaborated, reduced our costs. Administratively, My Sister's Place is the lead. We, again, put in for these FY12 and $13 and received a $25,000 cut this year. So it's a total of about $50,000. I thank you again. You know the work, and we appreciate all that you continue to do for all of the victims of domestic violence and human trafficking victims here in Westchester County. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. David Ladd.
Good evening, everybody. Another November is upon us. My name's Dave Ladd. I am a probation officer here in Westchester County. I work in the domestic violence unit. I'm going to be the only speaker on behalf of probation tonight. I'm accompanied here by over 40 of my fellow officers who would all be more than willing to come up here as well. But for the sake of brevity, I will be it. So, County Executive stated that there were no cuts to public safety. That is an absolute falsehood. He plans to cut officers, support personnel, the exact positions that you guys restored during the last budget, and positions that were lost through attrition as well. Probation is at the forefront of public safety. We supervise roughly 6,000 convicted offenders. We supervise registered sex offenders, domestic violence, mental health, DWI. We have a lot of specialized units. Actually, I sit next to a mental health officer in our White Plains office, and she recently did a basic home visit and came across bomb-making materials and terrorism guides. And that case is now with the FBI. Now, this is just on a basic field visit. Layoffs will affect the quality of work that can be done. We only have a certain amount of hours in the day. If there are less officers, there is more work, and the quality goes down. Actually, Nassau County recently had probation cuts. They had layoffs. Nassau is very similar to us, demographics. We both border New York City. And some of the things that they had to do with their department. 2,000 probationers who once had to have personal contact with probation officers, they now mail in letters promising that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not a genius, but they had more than 1,100 probationers with open warrants for their arrest. They used to have a warrant unit that went out to bring these offenders to justice. However, now these offenders are sent letters encouraging them to turn themselves in. Again, not an effective tool for public safety, in my opinion. This is what we will be facing here. Reducing officers means that we have to reduce our standards of how probationers are categorized. With less officers, more offenders who before might have been considered moderate to high risk will not get the attention they deserve. Before, such an offender might report once a week. Now they might report once a month. They might report with a telephone call or a letter. And the citizens of Westchester County deserve more. With less officers, unfortunately, this would become the reality here. Penny wise and pound foolish, $3 a day for probation, $300 a day for corrections. Jail is expensive. People of Westchester County deserve quality. Give it to them. You guys, I don't know anything about the budget, but you guys do. I trust you guys like you did last year, and hopefully you will give the people of Westchester what they deserve. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you very much, David. Daniel Valena. And as Daniel is coming up, while some people are clearing out, could we also have Mary Walsakowski, Steve Pica, Allison Bell, and Chris Stackpole, please. Yes, Daniel.
Hi, good evening. My name is Daniel Vienna. I'm a staff attorney with the Empire Justice Center. I'm here to talk about a $100,000 contract that we have with the county. With this contract, we've been providing civil legal assistance to immigrant residents of Westchester County. We've been helping them become citizens, residents, obtain special visas that will allow them to eventually become residents and citizens of the United States, obtain special visas that will allow them to obtain work permits and remain in the United States. Unfortunately, this funding is not included in the county executive's proposed budget, and we urge the board to please include it in the budget for the upcoming year. Through September, which is our last quarterly report, we've provided advice and counsel to over 233 residents of Westchester County about immigration legal matters. We've opened 65 cases. We do a wide range of immigration services, so we help people, again, with applications for citizenship, residency, special visas for victims of crime, visas for victims of domestic violence, and help them also in all various types of immigration options that are currently available for people in the United States. In addition to providing representation and advice and counsel, we also do a lot of community outreach. Through September, we've carried out 17 community events throughout Westchester County, informing people about the various immigration options that may be available to them, which I think also helps keep fraud away. The immigrant community is all very vulnerable to fraud because, you know, if you want to obtain some type of residency in the United States and someone promises you they can get you a green card for, you know, $15,000, people do fall for a lot of fraud. In addition to that, you know, our community outreach has focused a lot on the new program that was announced in the summer by the Obama administration for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which allows, you know, people that were brought in as kids and who are in school or finished high school to apply for an immigration status that will allow them to remain in the United States, obtain a work permit, which in New York State allows them to get a social security number and eventually get a driver's license, get some type of identification, which helps them, again, become members of our community. They can save up for college. So as part of that program that was announced in the summer, we've also been doing clinics with Hudson River Healthcare up in Peekskill. So we do a weekly clinic where we screen potential applicants, and when it's appropriate, we also undertake representation. We think it's a really good model. It's been working for us. It's a good way to reach out in the community. And, you know, we just urge the board to please restore the funding, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Howland Robinson.
Good evening, everyone. I have a bad cold, so please excuse. Westchester County has the highest property taxes in the nation. This is a gold medal we'd all really prefer not to have won. One of the groups that has really taken it on the chin in Westchester are taxpayers. This is the third budget that County Executive Astorino has presented that does not involve an increase in property taxes. I think that's a great accomplishment, and I hope you legislators will continue that after you review it. How does this come about that we have these terrible high property taxes? 85% of the tax money, the county tax money, actually goes to pay for spending that comes to us from the New York State Legislature. It's not inaccurate to say that our county budget is really more of a state budget than a county budget. I would encourage everyone in the audience who's concerned about spending cuts, layoffs, don't just be looking to this august few, our Board of Legislators. You also need to focus your attention on the state legislature. For years and years, the legislature passes spending, which they send down not only to the county, but also to our schools and our towns, and our local elected officials are powerless. They have no choice but to pass the spending on to all of us, and the effect of it is things we care about are cut. And one of the things that the legislature has done is they passed a property tax cap, 2%. Guess what? The 2% cap only applies to the 15% part of the budget that our local legislators, our school boards, and our town boards control. The 85%, in the case of the county, the 85% spending that the legislature imposes, the tax cap does not apply to that. So what's happening is the 85% is going up at very high rates, and disproportionately, our 15% that these people control they have to reduce more than 2% in order to make up for the higher levels of increase in the state spending. So please don't just tune in on what our legislators are doing, please tune in on what the New York State Legislature is doing as well. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Helen. Mary Walstikowski.
Hi, I'm Mary Walzakowski, and last year, when I say we, Steve and I came here to appeal to the board to keep the nature centers open, and thank you. We're very happy that happened, but now I'm back again to fight for the 4 curators, Michael Gambino, Dan Atchison, Taro Ayataka, and Daniela Chado. These aren't just 4 positions, these are 4 very important people. And I don't think people really understand the importance of the curators. They are vital to the nature centers and the key to preserving our environment. I've learned more from them than I ever learned in science, in school. And they continue to teach and spread their knowledge, and they're just amazing people. And now there's supposedly going to be 3 curators handling all the different nature centers, and one really is an art historian. She's a wonderful person, but it's not going to work. These are nature centers, and we need people who are experienced, have the education, and are willing to share. I volunteer at Reed with Michael, and he's done a great job there. He's had vandalism and some thefts, and he's there alone, and he depends on volunteers to help, and we remove invasive plants, clean up trails, do maintenance, and those of you who don't know, he's on Long Island Sound, and it's a very important area. And after this storm, we can't even get there. Everything is just a disaster. And my favorite place to go walking is Pound Ridge Reservation, and if you just drive into the reservation, the pines are just gone. And 5 years ago when the microburst, the other side, the pines were gone. We helped plant like 500 more. And one of the other curators facing elimination is Dan. He's the curator of wildlife, and I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat meat, and I've always been against hunting, but this is not hunting for sport. They are trying to eliminate the deer. They're eating all the trees and the plants, and he's not only working with the deer, he's working with the other wildlife, the beavers that are causing the flooding, the overabundance of geese, and the new issue, the coyotes. He works with state and federal agencies. It's not just an issue here in Westchester, it's all over, and if we eliminate his position, it's going to be crazy. We're going to have more floods, more deer, more Lyme disease, and it makes absolutely no sense. And what can I say about taro? Everybody loves taro. Oh, God, that's it.
Thank you, Mary. Steve Pica.
Hi, my name's Steve Pica.
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 Sorry.
I'm actually a resident of Fairfield County, but I'm here to speak on behalf of Westchester County Parks and Nature Centers because I love them so much. Rather than approaching the issue from a dollars and cents point of view, which is important and needs to be discussed, I'd like to appeal to you from a different, more personal perspective. One aspect of these ongoing budget battles that never seems to be taken into account is how these cuts affect the public on a personal level. Thousands of people come through the parks and nature centers every year, many with questions about nature and the environment. Without the curators, these questions go unanswered. Without the curators, the general public has no way of knowing how we affect the environment and how it affects us. Now, I've personally put in many hours as a volunteer, mostly at Pound Ridge and more recently at Reed with Michael Gambino. It's through that time that I've spent there that I've come to really appreciate how important these natural areas are and how important the curators are. A nature center without a curator doesn't just revert to a pretty park with trails. Without a curator, that park will devolve, and quickly, into the exact opposite of what it was meant to be. It will fall into disrepair, it will become a target for vandals, and worse, Trails will become impassable, invasives, which we have been battling constantly, will take over beyond the point where anything can be done about them. These nature centers demand constant attention at the highest level, a level which only trained, caring professionals like Taro, Dan, Daniela, and my friend Michael Gambino can give them. By eliminating these positions, you will essentially be sentencing these vital natural areas to a swift, ugly death. Please reconsider your position on this issue. Thank you for listening, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Steve. Allison Bell.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. I'm here to advocate for the nature centers and for restoring the curators. You're going to hear more about that, but I want to say something about the taxes. I'm a taxpayer, as everybody in this room is, and I'm very proud that my money goes to these projects and programs that you've been listening to tonight. I was very encouraged when the capital budget amendment for Kensico Plaza went in. A unanimous investment in the park system. And there were some comments that were made at that time that I thought, good, this is a good change. We're fortunate to have such an outstanding parks department. The stewardship of these resources is an important function of county government. I couldn't agree with you more. It's excellent. Please restore the funding for the curators, the educational aspects, the protection, the safety, and the investment in the future is at stake. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison. Chris Stackpole, and as Chris is coming forward, could we have Robert Pruitt, Brittany Brescia, Ann Stillman, Leah Dalton, and Pete Snyder, please.
I would like to address the, I'm Chris Stackpole from RIDE. I'd like to address the issue of eliminating positions of the Nature Center curators. And I want to urge that all of the county Nature Center curator positions be retained in the upcoming budget, based on my conviction that maintaining the full network of curators is vital to their educational programs. Since my retirement after 40 years as a research biologist, I have been conducting a long-term research project in the natural laboratories of the county nature centers. Despite my previous research experience, I found it essential to work closely with the curators to design and conduct my studies. Early on, I had the opportunity to meet with a group of curators and obtain tremendously valuable feedback that greatly improved my project. And I regularly seek their advice and ideas. From my experience, I find that these curators are exceptional in their abilities to interpret nature and to effectively educate both children and adults by immersing them in hands-on exercises. But these curators are most valuable as a network, in my opinion at least, because they bring together many diverse interests. Now, let me just summarize my concerns on one front. As we in Westchester County become increasingly impacted by apparent consequences of global climate change, it seems to me that our curators and their nature centers will need to provide even more educational programs pertaining to that topic. Reducing the number of curators at this time would seriously jeopardize those efforts in all county nature centers because the remaining curators would necessarily be spread too thin. They would also provide a diluted down network of overall county expertise. Volunteerism is also likely to be reduced, as it is understandably very much tied to the regular presence of the curator. And I feel that pertinent research efforts are unlikely to be attempted in the absence of a curator dedicated to a single center. So I would just urge you to strongly consider reinstating the curator positions because I think it's vital. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Robert Pruitt?
Hi, I'm Robert Pruitt, speaking on behalf of the wildlife sanctuaries and the parks. The curators there do a great job. The preserves wouldn't be the same if it weren't for them. If you start cutting back now, things only get worse. I grew up on the Upper West Side, and I was right by Central Park, and I love Central Park, it's a great park. But my parents, we moved to New Rochelle so I could have more room to spread out. And when I went to Marshlands Conservancy, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was incredible. And I went to the camp there, and I learned things that were just that just blew me away. And I actually became a bio major. I'm a bio major at Manhattan College partly because of that preserve. And then I found Cranberry Lake and Reed Sanctuary, and I started actually working at Marshlands. The past 2 summers. I can't do it this summer because I gotta take classes, but it's just they're really like the way I saw it is if I could reach one kid and teach him about these things and open him up to what I learned, then I'd done my job, and that's what the curators do. So they deserve to keep doing that. Thanks. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Robert. Brittany Brescia.
Hi, I'm Brittany Brescia. I am currently a student at the University of Tampa, and I went to Mamaroneck High School. But I just graduated from there. And I know for one of the requirements to graduate high school is you need to do a certain amount of community service hours. So when I was in high school, most of my community service hours were done at the Marshlands. And because the Marshlands was there for me, everyone told me, just do it there, it's a great place to do it. No one really liked going there, but once I went, everybody went because they told them how amazing it was. And the curators there brought so many opportunities my way when I went there to volunteer. I learned so many new things about invasive species and plants, and when I volunteered there with my friends, I got offered to work there at the ecology summer program, like Robbie did. And I went there, and I remember one of the curators told me that because of the work I did when I was volunteering when I was in high school, there were plants that were being grown there that haven't been grown in years. So the invasive species were like pretty much vanishing, but they're still there. But without the curators, though, children wouldn't be able, everyone really, children in the program, especially the summer camp program, which is an ecology camp, I've had so many parents come up to us in the summer saying, my children have learned so much through everyone, not even just from us. Like we have orientation week, and we learn from the curators, and they tell us how everything is done during nature. And children come up to me and parents come up to me and they say, I have never been so happy to put my child somewhere in the summer because I remember one parent came up to me, it was like, I put my kid in a sports camp and they had fun. They got in the dirt, they're a little dirty, a little smelly, so we put them in the shower, but when they come to our camp, they have education brought home. They learn a bunch of stuff and they're dirty and they're always happy and they're excited to come the next day. We have kids that come more than one session. So it is a great opportunity, and honestly, the community is a better place with these nature centers, and people have to be very grateful about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. Ann Stillman.
Members, excuse me, let me clear my throat. Members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Ann Stillman. I'm the president of the Committee to Save the Bird Homestead in Rye. And on behalf of the trustees of our nonprofit organization, I respectfully urge you to reinstate the multiple curator positions at the county nature centers, which were eliminated in the administration's proposed budget. Through educational programs and summer camps the Nature Center staff has provided a tremendously important service to generations of county residents, children in particular. These are educational experiences that cannot be duplicated in the classroom. Some of the recipients of this knowledge have gone on to become naturalists and scientists themselves. All have gained a greater understanding of the natural world. This is key to having a well-informed citizenry, especially as important environmental policy decisions loom ahead for our nation. As Hurricane Sandy has made abundantly clear, environmental education should not be seen as a luxury. It is, in fact, a necessity. We do not see the curator's salaries as a cost. For a very tiny fraction of the county budget, they are instead an investment that will yield important dividends well into the future for our children and our society. As historians in my group, we think of the tradition of conservation and parkland in America, which was pioneered by one of our greatest Republican presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, and thank God he had that foresight. We hope that Westchester County will maintain its own tradition of excellence in environmental education in its beautiful parks. Now, I just want to say a couple of words regarding another great Westchester park, Playland. As preservationists, we respectfully urge the board to make certain that an experienced preservation architect prepares the scope of work for all the storm damage repairs to the historic structures. Without training and lengthy experience in historic preservation and coastal effects on historic structures, the conditions may be not fully understood. Contrary to what many believe, a historic preservation approach to repair will save taxpayers money because historic materials are more resilient than modern construction. The preservation architect will also ensure that the important historic character of this National Historic Landmark Park is maintained. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne. Leah Dalton.
My name's Leah Dalton. I'm currently a science teacher at Greenwich High School, and this past summer I taught the ecologist and training program at Marshlands Nature Conservancy. Previous summer I taught the conservationist and training program at Cranberry Lake. I was fortunate to grow up in a place where I had the opportunity to enjoy a free and quality education that is available at the nature centers in Westchester. The curators have helped me become who I am today. Years ago at Cranberry Lake Nature Preserve, a spark was ignited in my mind that now burns brightly. That spark was an interest in the natural world that led me to my pursuit of becoming a biology teacher. The Nature Center curators are one of the main reasons why Westchester County is a great place to live. They pass a tradition of stewardship and understanding of nature on to children who will have to make important decisions in the future. Without the outdoor education that is provided, we as a society, and more specifically our young people, will grow more distant from nature and therefore understand it less. The problems we are faced with from climate change will only get worse. This is all the more reason why our society needs to be educated about the world in which we live. To remove the primary curators from the nature centers would be a tremendous mistake and leave a void in the future. I would like to especially thank Taro Ayataka and Scott Williamson for enriching my experience as an educator. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Pete Snyder, and while Pete is coming to the podium, could we have Alexis Garcia, Deb Gerson, Abraham Verghese, Jim Meehan, and Anthony Zavalia. Thank you, Pete.
Good evening. My name is Pete Snyder. I'm a construction coordinator for DPW. This meeting was important to me to be here. I drove in from the southern Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania to be here to stand in support of the engineers in Westchester County's Department of Public Works. You heard a part of their story. I rely on them a lot. because I'm the field person, they're the backup. We work as a team. This is a team game here. No one person shines better than the other. We work together as a team. Losing half the bench, your team does not function. Another point I'd like to make here, we're all a group of lawmakers. And I think that we should, in future meetings, abide by the law of 96 on the wall, so that we dodged a bullet here tonight with, it got to be 150 in this room, aisles blocked, doorways blocked. I don't think it's a good thing to have this happen again. Personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete. Alexis?
Good evening. I'm an assistant architect with the Department of Public Works. My position has been targeted for abolition. All I know as far as work is concerned, I have enough work to go to the year 2013. And that's the first thing why I question the abolition of the job. We have a team of engineers and architects that are necessary for the infrastructure and for the physical environment that we live in. And that means that the work is ongoing, is constant. And if our positions are deleted, then definitely somebody will have to do the work. And somebody has to be paid for this work. So the question is, why are we changing from one side to another when it's going to cost the same money to the county? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Deb Gerson? Is Deb here? Abraham Verghese?
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Board of Legislators and brothers and sisters. My name is Abraham Verghese. I work for the Department of Public Works as an office assistant, word processing. An office assistant word processing in the garage division of DPW is proposed to be, that title is proposed to be eliminated. Because of that person's seniority, I'm afraid I will, I'll get bumped out. Even though, I am not a qualified engineer, but we all work together with the engineers. I don't want to take much time, so I put in my submissions in writing. If the Honorable Board can accept it, I'll be grateful.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Jim Meehan? And while Jim's coming up, could we have Anthony Zavalia?
Sorry, I yield to Terry Rella here.
Oh, okay. Hi, Terry. Hold on one sec. Anthony Zavalia, Greg DeAngelis, Viviana Davila, Cora Greenberg, and Dennis Hanratty, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable County Legislative Board, for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Teresa Rella. I am third Vice President of CSEA. And I am from the Department of Public Works, along with my many esteemed colleagues. This is my third year on the layoff list. Some of my functions within the administration division include providing various IT services, including creating various reports, like, for example, Timesheet Pro, which is what accumulates the hours that the engineers charge to all of their projects. This is an example of one of the things that I do, as well as other reports that are used by administration. I also manage county parking, which includes daily requests for parking accommodations and clearance access at our various buildings. I stand before you once again as both the county worker, lifelong Westchester resident, homeowner, and taxpayer. I was personally affected by Hurricane Sandy. However, I did make it to work on that terrible Tuesday, despite a large tree branch that rested against the wires in front of my home. I was not alone when I came to work that day. My fellow coworkers were there, scrambling at work and at the command center as well, or on the road, checking the status of bridges and culverts in Westchester. In fact, to date, 528 engineering hours have been spent on Hurricane Sandy by the engineering division alone. And we all know that is just the beginning. Please do not let these budget cuts impact the work, the vital work that our department does on a daily basis. I am asking this as a county resident. Please restore the 15 positions in DPW, including 9 engineers and 1 architect from the engineering division. It is not fair that CSEA is being villainized at every possible opportunity. We are currently working toward a contract, and even though both the CSEA president, Karen Pecora, and myself are included on the list of layoffs, we will continue to work tirelessly to do what needs to be done until the end of the year. There are 800 fewer CSEA members on payroll since 2010. Enough is enough. I am personally reaching out to you again this year to use sensible accounting and restore these necessary jobs. Our local economy is coming back, and job creation and retention should be the #1 priority for all elected officials. I will not go gently into that good night. I thank you for your time and attention, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Teresa. Anthony Zavalia?
Good evening, County Legislators. I'm Anthony Zavalia, resident of Westchester County. I'm here as an advocate for the Curators of Wildlife and for the County Wildlife Program for our county parks. This is a highly respected and replicated program. Other communities and counties have looked to us as leaders. We have pushed forest management outside of our county, bridging state and local organizations. They've turned to us. We've led the way. The New York City DEP turned to us to manage previously unmanaged property. This is the expertise Dan Atchison has given us as a curator of wildlife. A program like this, once it's stopped, we will lose all progress very quickly. A 2008 study showed 64 deer per square mile. As of 2012, we are down to 45. Many of the native species are now returning to our forests. All this will be lost. Thousands of hours that have been volunteered by county residents will be lost. This program costs 1 penny per county resident. That's the cost of us all being the stewards of our land and of assuring future generations the land that we have today looks the way it does. Please reconsider eliminating the County Wildlife Program and Dan Atchison's position with his fellow curators. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving all.
Thank you, Anthony. Greg DeAngelis.
Good evening. Thank you, County Legislators, for your time. I am Greg DeAngelis. I'm board member and former chair of the Housing Action Council. I am also a resident of Mamaroneck, an architect, and the 2013 president-elect of the Westchester and Hudson Valley chapter of the American Institute of Architects. The county executive's budget proposes to reduce funding for the Housing Action Council to 90% of its 2012 budget. And we ask that the Board of Legislators restore this funding back to the 2012 level of $100,000. Although this is a small ask, it is critical to the sustainability of our technical assistance program and the organizations and people we serve. The Housing Action Council is a member of the Westchester Women's Agenda and addresses the housing needs of people who cannot afford housing in a private marketplace. With county support, we provide infrastructure to community-based organizations and human service agencies to develop and preserve fair and affordable housing. We initiate the development we initiate many of the developments that are undertaken by nonprofit organizations. We leverage our services to help others develop affordable housing and preserve affordable housing, which is also very critical these days. We help identify sites, assess feasibility, secure public and private funding, negotiate local approvals, and manage the development process, which results in housing that is affordable to low-income individuals and families, including those with special needs. Our assistance is countywide. Some examples include iCare in Mamaroneck, reached out to the Housing Action Council for help in preserving properties that provide rental housing for families who would be homeless without iCare.
The Housing Action Council secured funding from the Federal Home Loan Bank for that. The Hastings building inspector pointed to a derelict building for which the Housing Action Council helped the Hastings Affordable Housing Committee secure the site and structurally financially feasible development, which is now fully funded. Nearly 100 property owners, primarily in the Peekskill and Cortland areas, benefit from the Preservation Company's housing rehab program, for which we've also secured funding. And since its beginnings, the Housing Action Council has structured the financial feasibility of A-Homes projects throughout northern Westchester. These are just a few examples of the not-for-profits that we help, the Housing Action Council helps. $100,000 in support from Westchester County facilitates approximately 300 housing units annually. Without the additional $10,000 in support, there will be lost an opportunity for 30 to 50 new units this coming year. As you board members know, are keenly aware of, the need for affordable housing in this county is essential, and how much effort and resources it takes to develop it. So I'm here representing the Board of Directors. Thank you very much for your time, and happy Thanksgiving to all.
Thank you, Greg. Viviana Davila. Cora Greenberg.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cora Greenberg. I'm the Executive Director of the Westchester Children's Association, which is an independent child advocacy organization. We don't get any county funding. So what I want to ask you for is some common sense. You've heard this litany of things that people want you to put back into the budget, and they're all important. I mean, I don't want your job. But what's lacking here is a vision, a coherent vision of what our community should be. And the vision that we get primarily from the administration is, what we want is just to have smaller government and lower taxes. And I appreciate what the gentleman before said about where our taxes are coming from, but what he also didn't mention, of course, are our school taxes, which are the huge driver. County taxes are a very small part of people's property tax. So we need some leadership, we need some coherence. We urge the county board, Democrats and Republicans, to really work together to restore coherently in a sensible way. And we know not everything we want is going to get in 100%, but pay attention to what's really important. You can't just keep cutting everything and have a county that works. Okay, so my top 3 priorities, everybody's got their own. Childcare to us is really number 1, and I'm speaking for our organization, also for the Campaign for Kids, which is a coalition of about 80 organizations looking at the needs of children and youth in the county. Childcare, without childcare, so many other things fall apart. The economic impact is obvious. We heard from an employer who provides services to child care agencies, but also employs people who use child care agencies. Intricately involved in the economic life of our community is the ability for people to get quality, affordable child care. Without that, lots of things suffer. We really would like you to look at increasing the pot of money that goes for Invest in Kids. This is something we've been fighting for a long time. That money allows new ideas to come forth. We recently had an event called Speak Out for Youth. Some of the youth council members were there. We had 150 kids from all around the country. You'll be getting the full report in the next day or two. They know very clearly what they want. They see the connection between youth programs, gang prevention, youth programs, educational achievement. You can't disentangle all this stuff and have any of it work. And finally, the neighborhood health centers are essential to keeping our kids healthy. Health is, one of the building blocks of a successful life for children and adults, but if we don't start them off healthy, we will really all pay for it in the end. There are very clear statistics that I won't bore you with that show that without good health care, lots of other bad things happen that cost us all lots of money. So you have a terribly difficult job. Anything we can do to help you, we'd be happy to do. We'll be around. You all have my number. But we just wish you all Godspeed to bring all of your wisdom to bear to make this a sensible budget and to do what's right for the people of Westchester. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Cora. As Dennis Hanratty is coming to the podium, could we have Pat Monahan, John Sturbens, Michael Kaufman, Beryl Gilling, although I think she already spoke, Shireen Long already spoke, and Tony Hutzel, please.
Chairwoman Myers, my legislators out in the back, Lyndon Williams, and the rest of the board members who've made it here tonight. Thank you for having us tonight. But most of all, thank you for getting us restored in the county budget last year. Mount Vernon United Tenants had been a budget item in the county budget for over 20 years. 2 years ago, we were cut out. Last year, we got restored, so I want to thank you deeply for that restoration. Hopefully, we'll be back in this year, and hopefully a little bit increased because we were cut back last year also. Hopefully, we'll get some of that money back. Most of you guys know me. I'm the director of Mount Vernon United Tenants, Dennis Hanratty. I've worked with a lot of you guys on different legislative issues on the county level. You should know, if you didn't know beforehand, that we're the only funded and staffed tenant association in Westchester County. While we're a Mount Vernon-based organization, we do provide services throughout the county, both eviction prevention and building organizing. And I've got 17 copies of recent mailing to list some of the buildings that we've organized in Mount Vernon and in Yonkers. We also work in a number of New Rochelle. I know Mary Jane left already. We work with Beacon Hill Gardens in Dobbs Ferry. We've worked with buildings throughout the county. As the only funded and staffed tenant association with a nearly 30-year history, people recognize that we have a tremendous amount of expertise on the issue of landlord-tenant matters. So we get calls all over. I serve on a statewide board, and yesterday I wasn't able to go up to Albany, so I had to take the call for 3 hours at my home, and so I was out of the office for nearly 4 hours. I come back, I've got 60 messages on my machine. I mean, that's standard. The phones ring off the hook in my offices. For people who don't really understand the issue about like housing insecurity, I think housing insecurity underlies all other economic security issues. It's tough to explain to people the fear and the utter breakdown people facing their lives when their housing is at risk. And we deal with that dozens of times every week. We open 5, 6 new cases every day, the majority of which are people facing eviction. It's a horrible, horrible experience, and it's just getting worse with the housing crisis. It's true, housing prices, especially single-family homes, the prices have come down with the foreclosure crisis and all, but that's only put upward pressure on the rents because there's more people competing for fewer units. It's just desperate what we have to deal with on a daily basis. We also deal, and you'll see in some of our mailings, a lot of coalition work. We work with agencies throughout the county on a variety of different issues. I've kept my hat on, and Pat Monahan, one of my board members, she's kept her hat on because we believe in kids. We ditto everything that Cora Greenberg had said. We understand that these issues don't exist in a vacuum. Housing issues, medical issues, children's issues. We've always tried to work in collaborative fashions. We're a very coalition-focused organization. I sit on boards of a variety of statewide coalitions. The Hunger Action Network, we deal with anti-hunger issues, deal with all kinds of issues. But I want to thank you all for your time and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Dennis. Pat Monahan.
Good evening. It was really a privilege to listen to the meeting tonight. I just would like to add a personal note to what Dennis has said. When the funding for neighborhood preservation was eliminated and then restored, at that moment, a great shockwave went through our community in Mount Vernon, and many staff were let go. But the lines continued to get longer and longer, as Dennis says, ringing off the hook. When I read about that happening, I thought, let me go volunteer and see what I can do to help, in the office at least, because Dennis has been helping our tenant association and all of those in Mount Vernon that I know of for years and years and years. He helps with everything. I'd say that our community represents that 47% that is so notorious that we hear about. Not people who are takers, but people who are the working poor, the middle class, who are trying to do 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs sometimes, just to make ends meet. When those people lose a job and they lose their health care, as Dennis said, they lose not just their property, but their self-esteem, their health, and very, very often their emotional stability. I observed that as I volunteered those days when I went to the United Tenants. One of the things, keeping people in a shelter when they do lose it, is about $4,000 a month. And when we keep people in their homes, we can certainly avoid all of the costs to the county that would entail. So every single month, there are dozens and dozens of evictions prevented by the work that Dennis does out of the office. He doesn't just, there's a small staff, so what he does is he comes in early, he works through his lunch, he stays after, he works at night, goes to meetings, works on Saturdays, whenever you want to get him, he's always at work, and then Sundays and holidays. So any restoration of funding to this particular organization would be an extraordinarily cost-effective investment in our people. So thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Pat. John Sturbins?
My name is John Sturbins, not Joan Sturbins.
I know,
but,
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I've been called Joan before, so it's
You don't look like a Joan.
I know. My hair used to be longer. We're here representing the Child Care Council. We're board members. Kathy Hallis is also here with us tonight. Our council board is comprised of men and women from various fields in different workforce development, commercial real estate, human resources, accounting, financial services, higher education. You get the idea. We have chosen to serve on the board because we know the powerful impact that child care has on children and the lives of all of us. So access to safe child care brings people into the workforce and keeps them working and off benefits. Their earnings go immediately into the local economy for purchase of goods and services. An economic analysis of New York's early care and education sector by Cornell University found that every dollar invested in child care generated $1.52 to $2 in the state economy. So if you reduce the Westchester child care subsidy investment by $5 million, you lose $7 to $10 million in the Westchester economy. Not only does the subsidy program reduction send some parents out of safe, regulated child care, it pulls others out of the workforce altogether. You've had several people talk about that tonight. The subsidy reduction also negatively affects the local businesses that would have shared a slice of the $7 to $10 million revenue pie. The loss of sales could cause them to reduce the number of employees, and this does nothing to help reduce the high unemployment rate. There is also a direct impact on Westchester's child care industry that also has to be considered. The child care industry is a sector of over 750 businesses, employing over 5,000 women and men. The Westchester Community Opportunity Program's Head Start program alone employs nearly 500 people. The proposed reduction in child care spending will further reduce enrollment, revenues, and ultimately child care jobs. The immediate ripple effect is significant and serious, but they reach out far beyond this budget year. The children not served in safe, quality, early care and education programs will not do as well in school, are less likely to graduate high school, and will continue the family pattern of low-wage jobs and earn much less over their lifetimes. The proposed hike to family share of 35% is simply unaffordable. A parent who paid 6% in household income for child care in December 2011 will pay 14% in January on incomes of $25,000. And I just wanted, you talk about 6% and 14%, doesn't sound like a lot, but for a person earning $25,000, in 2011, they would have paid $1,500 for child care. In 2012, they'll pay $3,500 for child care. That's a 130% increase over what they pay. And if any of you got a bill that's $130,000, 130% more than you got last year, it's a powerful thing to think about. So, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Michael Kaufman?
My name is Michael Kaufman. I live in Hartsdale, New York. I'm retired and have several volunteer positions. One of the positions is treasurer of the Friends of Reed Nature Center. This year, the Friends have provided about $35,000 to Reed for equipment, a storage building, and educational programs. Volunteers have provided countless hours of time grooming trails, cleaning beaches, pulling weeds and vines, and helping to restore the natural habitat. I emphasize all of these financial and physical efforts are under the leadership, tutelage, supervision of the curator, Michael Gambino, who is slated for layoff. In October, the Friends, with the collaboration of the Parks Department, held the first annual Fall Festival at Reed. Upwards of 1,500 children and adults attended. All of the above will be lost if the curator position is not restored. I applaud the legislature for restoring the curator positions that were deemed for cut in 2012, and I'm sure you will do it again in 2013. I was pleased to see that the Parks Department requested in its budget request that the county executive fund the curator positions. I was shocked to see that the county executive did not approve the positions. The county executive did, however, leave in the OTPS expenses and an estimate of 17,000 people using Reed Park. I assume this was done because Mr. Astorino knows that you will be restoring the curator position. The loss of the position will, in effect, close the park, since the trails and beaches will not be maintained and will be dangerous to access. The loss of the curator position will mean the loss of educational programs, waterfront cleanups, and ecological collapse. Please restore the position and the other Nature Center curator positions as well. In an email response to our concerns, the county executive's assistant stated that the remaining curators will rotate to the unstaffed nature centers. This is unacceptable. It's outrageous, and I think it's naive. How can the 2 or 3 remaining curators run all of the nature centers and the deer management program? Can't be done. I look forward to your doing the right thing again. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Tony Hutzel, and as Tony's approaching the podium, could we have Saul Scheinbach, Simisola Makale, Abishai, I think he spoke. Nellie spoke. Michael Bolchik, and Tony Malandrino. Tony.
Good evening. Actually, I'm standing in this evening for my boss. Rose Noonan was unexpectedly called to Hastings to help with a fair and affordable housing issue, and she asked me if I would present the position of the Westchester Women's Agenda. And I said happily, because it's not simply a women's agenda, it's a justice agenda as well as an investment agenda. The Westchester Women's Agenda is a voice for women, particularly low-income women in Westchester. And the members of the coalition represent a broad spectrum of political and philosophical views and share a strong commitment to social justice. The Westchester Women's Agenda urges the County Board of Legislators to assure that funding for all of the safety net services, be that economic development, housing and homeless services, violence against women, health and mental health services, children's services, civil legal services, and immigration, remain a county priority. During the past 2 years, the agenda has worked closely with you and with the county executive to find ways to reduce costs, but to continue delivering quality services. Some agencies, as you heard earlier this evening, have collaborated in order to reduce administrative expenses, but still retain valuable and important services. For 2013, the agenda's ask is to maintain funding for safety net services at least at 2012 levels, to fund child care at a responsible level, and to honor the 3-year funding commitments made in the domestic violence area. I have, and I will leave with you, a budget matrix which compares 2012 to the county executives, to the women's agenda's proposal. But specifically, we're looking to restore the $110,000 for economic development and empowerment, to restore the $261,000 for housing and homelessness prevention, to restore funding for the neighborhood health centers, to restore funding for children's services, and the $107,000 in funding for elder law services, and $100,000 for legal services for immigrants. These issues are all interrelated. Take away one leg and the table collapses. They all assist one another in addressing the needs of holistic and whole people. Thank you very much, and as everyone else, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Tony. Michael Bacher? Michael?
My name is Michael Bachnick. I'm a resident of Mount Vernon, born and raised in Yonkers, and president of Hudson River Audubon Society of Westchester. Our chapter serves the communities of Yonkers, Ardsley, Hastings-on-Hudson, Dobbs Ferry, and Irvington. It saddens me to be here once again as Astorino continues his disdain for parks, nature, the environment, and especially environmental education. The chapter is here to ask you to please oppose the budget cuts to the curators of our nature centers. A reduced staff will effectively close the nature centers and stop all environmental education. The remaining curators would not have the time to offer county programs. If you're a teacher trying to organize a class to go to a nature center, you cannot organize something when you do not know when the nature center will have a curator and which curator will be there. It just won't work. Grants that enhance the nature centers and preserves would become impossible to implement and greatly jeopardize any new grants in the future. Hudson River Audubon, along with Groundworks, secured a $10,000 grant to put in this beautiful new pond/classroom at Lenoir Nature Preserve in Yonkers. We are looking to further enhance that with future grants. Without Daniela, we have this beautiful classroom pond for Daniela to teach children, but she may not be there. And how can we enhance it with, and then it's free money that we will do, built by volunteers. All that will be lost. And without consistent and constant presence of the curators, we will see an increase in the amount of vandalism to buildings and wildlife. We already have a problem with the pond right now. Somebody is poking holes in the liner for some reason. We need constant supervision of the area. Illegal activities such as drug use, underage drinking, and hunting will increase. And safety for visitors will be compromised without their presence. Other safety issues that arise will not be dealt with in a timely manner, putting the county at an increased risk to lawsuits. Just recently, the county had to dig a trench across the driveway of the Lenoir Mansion, and they had to leave it there. A volunteer noticed that somebody could come driving in at night and hit that ditch. That volunteer told the nature center, and the nature center, put up cones and stuff, or had people put up cones, so, if the county a cop car came driving in there at night, doesn't get stuck in a ditch, those little things. So, so I ask you not to stand for a county whose standard of living is the best, a great place to live, work, play, and enjoy our open spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We have Tony Malandrino, and as Tony is coming up to the podium, could we have Saul Scheinbach, Naomi Oppmann, Francis Ginsberg, and Vincent Altamari.
Good to go?
Yes, thank you.
Tony Malandrino. I'm a police officer with the Westchester County Police, and I'm also a member of the PBA board. The county executive's proposed budget slashes the Department of Public Safety to unprecedented levels. This budget slashes personnel by cutting 5 unfilled positions and shorting the vacancy factor by approximately $500,000. In 2011, 11 sworn members retired, and the department only realized about $327,000 in savings. Using 2011 as a guide, if we had more than 15 retirements in 2013, we would still not have enough funding to hire any police officers. This year's cuts, in addition to the 17 positions slashed over the previous 2 years, will amount to overall cuts of over 10% of our police personnel. The county executive also slashed the equipment budget by 70%, or approximately $360,000, leaving $140,000 budgeted to purchase equipment. There are no patrol cars ordered for 2013. These cuts have immediate and far-reaching effects on public safety in Westchester County. Before these drastic cuts are even realized, we have to look at where previous cuts have left us. There are no police patrols at any time of the year on any of the county trailways or bike paths. There are no police patrols during the months of September, October, November, December, January, February, March, or April in any Westchester County park. And there is a limited police patrol during the months of May, June, July, and August in the county parks. The limited manpower in the parks results in dangerous situations as police officers are left to deal with large crowds on their own. In the past 2 years, we've had at least 3 incidents where we had to put calls out to local police agencies to respond to assist county police officers with large crowds that have gotten out of control. This limited manpower also results in increased response times to emergency 911 calls for assistance. The residents of Westchester utilize these parks year-round. In fact, the Parks Department website boasts that more than 3 million people visit the parks each year. I urge you to restore the funding to at least 2012 levels. We cannot afford to be cut any further, and we cannot afford to lose those 5 positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Saul Scheinbach.
Thank you. I'm also here on behalf of the 4 curator positions at the nature centers. And my remarks are directed to the county executive. So if you like, you folks might want to close your ears to what I'm going to say. I am a board member and former president of the Hudson River Audubon Society of Westchester. And it's hard to say all I would like to about this budget in so short a time. As you've already heard, these centers cost the county a pittance, and yet they affect so many lives in a positive way. Lenoir Preserve, where we are based, the total budget is about $70,000 a year. This year alone, we have invested between the riparian habitat you just heard about and our butterfly garden maintenance, we've invested almost $20,000 just this year alone. I do have some words I could say. I would say that this budget is mean-spirited. It's mean-spirited for one of the richest counties in the country to not find a way to raise the revenue to keep these places staffed full-time. It's irresponsible to expect the nature centers not to go into disrepair and be vandalized without constant attention. It's immoral not to ask the richest in the richest county not to pay a little more. It's absurd to blame the unions for the cuts. It's reprehensible to expect environmental education to continue in the county when these places are not staffed full-time. It's dishonest to say that the nature centers will still remain open while knowing full well the budget will slowly starve them to death. It is mean-spirited to attack environmental education in the county and make it a hostage to budget negotiations. And it borders on class warfare to balance the budget on the backs of the urban poor who cannot visit a national park, whose only natural experience are these green spaces, while the wealthy enjoy the country clubs. These places serve to educate those who have no other way to learn about the natural world. Don't be the cause of their demise.
Thank you, Saul. Naomi Optman.
Hello, everybody. I represent taxpayer myself. I live in Harrison. I'm a lifelong Westchester County resident. And I'm going to talk to you about something that you haven't heard from anybody about, which might be interesting. I read the Journal News, and they've had a bunch of articles about the budget. And I just want to quote a line here. It says, "The state requires the county to pay half the cost of treating people charged with felonies who are sent from Westchester County Jail to state mental health facilities to restore their competency to stand trial." Westchester County is on the hook for approximately $421 of that cost per day. This budget is implementing a pilot project which is going to negatively impact the town of Harrison. It's going to put a drain on our police department. What they want to do is put these people in St. Vincent's Hospital. St. Vincent's Hospital cannot handle the patients that they have in there now. I suggest you talk to our police chief, Anthony Maricini. He will be more than happy to explain that to you. So what's going to happen when these felons that are mentally incompetent to stand trial get to St. Vincent's, they get out, they go half a mile down the road to Harrison Avenue Elementary School, and they hurt a child? What are you going to do then? That's my main issue. Behind Harrison Avenue Elementary School is Lewis M. Klein Middle School. Every single middle school child in Harrison goes to that school that goes to use public schools. That is a threat to the neighborhood. Our police department's now going to have to add forces to sit here to control that. And I think this is very short-sighted. That's issue number one. Issue number two, really quick on. The community health centers, communicable diseases, they can go to anybody. I suggest you watch a movie called Contagion. It came out about a year ago. It was about a mental health, a communicable disease that caused a health crisis across the country. So I think it's penny wise and pound foolish to cut out these clinics to sit here and save a dime when you don't know what you're going to be exposing the rest of the Westchester County residents to. Third point is Edith Reed. I suggest you all look at the Edith Reed website. That place was decimated by the storm. If you sit here and get rid of the curator there, he gets the people to sit here and volunteer. It needs to be cleaned up. And this is another big one of mine, Playland. I thank you for looking into Playland. Sustainable Playland is for Rye. It's not for Westchester County. Westchester County Park is Playland. And I ask that you hold public meetings to get out input from the county residents as to what they want with that park. It's a rite of passage for Westchester County residents. And lastly, which is also Playland related, I think it's kind of hypocritical that they're going to cut 126 positions, but yet for the last week and a half since Con Ed closed down its storm center at Playland, there have been police officers stationed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week there, 2 police officers at a time most days. Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi. Francis Ginsburg, and Vincent Altamari.
Good evening, Honorable Board, my name is Vincent Altamari. I work for Westchester County Department of Public Works. I'm a construction manager. I've had the privilege the past 6 years in the county working with a fantastic group of people in my department in all aspects of construction. We handle all issues that the county has, new projects, infrastructure that needs to be taken care of on a daily basis. I find it very sad that we're again a third year now that I'm on the chopping block and many others. And to what point? How does it benefit Westchester County to fire people when those people are going to be on the unemployment line then? Who's going to be collecting food stamps on top of that? We provide a tremendous service to the county. We do it cheaply. We're not profit-driven. We do the job because we enjoy what we do. We all work extremely well together. It's like a family outside of our home. We work well together. We work things out. We don't turn around and say, well, we can't go to today. We have to discuss how we're going to get paid for that. Consultants want to know to the minute how they're going to get paid for what they do. They're not going to turn on a dime and say, okay, we're not going to go there right now. We're going to run to that part of the county. We do. Consultants want to sit down and negotiate how much money they're going to get out of going to the different projects before they get there. So when you have emergencies, how long are you going to take to discuss with a consultant what to do and how they're going to get paid? We run out the door immediately. Many of us work overtime. We don't get paid for it. A lot of guys, they take work home with them on the weekends to get design work done, to get the projects in the field so that everything can get, the work can get done as fast as possible. I find it very strange that after 800 people have been laid off from the county or retired, we're still talking about a deficit. According to the county executive's numbers of $100,000 salary each, which is overblown, but taking his numbers, that's $80 million. Where did that money go? How can we still have a deficit when there's $80 million in the pot after those 800 people are gone? Okay? I don't understand that. And to all the legislators, how are you going to explain to your constituency that firing all county workers, how are you going to get this work done? Is it going to get done cheaper? No. Consultants, local municipalities, and the state are going to step in. That's not going to make it cheaper. You're going to have to explain to all your constituency why their taxes are going to go through the roof. Because who's got bridges, roads, there are buildings, all this stuff needs to get taken care of. We do it at a non-profit base, and we know the infrastructure inside and out. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. I have no other cards. Is there anyone left in the, who has not spoken? Is there anyone who would like to come to the podium who has not spoken?
There's 2 more hearings. There are 2 more hearings.
That's true. There are, you know what, I think we're going to keep it to 1 comment per person tonight, but there are 2 more hearings. And if you liked what you saw tonight, come to Cortland for our public hearing.
Hopefully it'll be larger.
It will be a larger room, we promise. Again, we're so sorry. So sorry for this. Pardon me? Oh, yeah, we'll check that. And also, we will have a public hearing in White Plains at our chambers in the Board of Legislators.
It's at the county center.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's at, even that's not large enough. We're going to be at the county center. So thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for sticking it out here, and have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving.
You stole my pen, you stole my pads. Hey, honey, I want to ask you something.
I'm hearing that too. I heard that's in. I don't know why we do a little budget.
Thanks, Ann. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Michael Smith.
Hi, how are you? Hi, Allison, how are you?